I'm Becky. I'm the recruiting manager here in the TEFL Institute. You might be coming from our TEFL.ie domain, or you might be coming from our TEFLinstitute.com domain, but we are the TEFL Institute, okay? Joining me today, which is great, is Enzo. He's on the ground in South Korea, so it's 9 p.m. there. So absolutely amazing to have him here today. So, right. So this is going to be about maybe 45 minutes long, guys, with some Q&A at the end. Now, if you do have questions that kind of pop into your head, feel free to put them into the chat box. If we see them as we go, we'll definitely answer them. And if not, we'll get to them at the end. And if you're all full of questions, we will definitely answer them in a follow-up email afterwards. Okay, so we are taking down all the questions and they will all get answered to. Okay, so this information session, it is based for the South Korea internship, which is a 12-month placement. We are now looking at spring 2022 start date, and we are opening up applications today, which is really, really exciting. And we just kind of wanted to let everybody know about it. Yeah, so it's nationwide. It starts in spring 2022. It's both private and public schools, so there's a huge mix there. Yeah, so first of all, what I'm going to go through is actually what is required. So you need to fit the bill. So before we get you all very excited and everything like that, it's best just to double check those requirements, okay? So the first requirement, which is a must, is a bachelor's degree. So it's needed for the work permit. So it can be in any industry. It doesn't have to be a bachelor's of education or anything like that. It just has to be a bachelor's degree from one of the 7 native English speaking countries. So it has to be an Irish bachelor's degree, UK bachelor's degree, US, Canada, so those, and Australia, New Zealand, okay? So it has to be a bachelor's degree from one of those countries. You also need a TEFL certificate, but that is included in the internship. So if you already have a TEFL certificate, that's absolutely fine. But it is included in the internship cost. So you will be able to get certified before you go. You'll also need a passport from UK, Ireland, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Unfortunately, at the moment, due to COVID, South African applications are not being taken. So for now, it just, you know, it has to be one of the 6 out of the 7, basically. You can also be a naturalized citizen and everything like that. So if you're a little bit traveled and everything, just let us know, and we'll be able to kind of look at your profile and let you know. Okay, guys. Another one is criminal background check. It has to be clean, of course, and you have to be in good health, of course. And let us know if you have any health conditions and we can have a look at it. It's just, you know, moving abroad for 12 months, we want to make sure that you're okay. It is a 1-year minimum contract, so make sure that you're available until spring 2023. And that means your passport also has to be valid until, I would say, even 6 months into 2023. Give yourself a little bit of time, a little bit of, you know, traveling buffer there and everything like that, which it would be nice. Yeah, so they're the requirements. And now I'm just going to go through quickly what we kind of just cover. Okay, so first of all, what's included in the internship program? You will get our 120-hour TEFL course, which will give you the main TEFL qualification and will also hold you after the internship. So it's not specific to South Korea or anything like that. It's global and you can teach afterwards with it. It'll make you fully qualified. You'll also get a 30-hour teaching young learners course. This is a great little specialist course and it does really suit the program for South Korea. Your salary is dependent on qualifications and experience. It is around maybe 1,500 to 1,800 euros per month. That's about 1,700 to 2,000 US dollars per month. Okay. You'll also get partial flight reimbursement, which is lovely. When you get it is a little bit dependent on the contract, but you will get a flight reimbursement throughout your contract, whether it's in your first paycheck or at the end of the contract or something like that, which is a lovely little treat to have back in your hand. And it's actually, it's not included in many internships at all. So it's a really nice little bonus. The accommodation, completely covered for 12 months. You get your own studio apartment and everything like that, which is absolutely lovely. If you are a couple, please contact us and we will go through a couple of things with you, because everybody kind of gets their own studio apartment and everything like that. So if you are a couple, just let me know and I'll be able to go through it with you separately after the webinar. You will also get a little medical insurance, which is lovely. So you'll be actually covered over there, and an end of contract bonus. And we are also doing a certificate of completion. So you'll get this at the end of your 12 months. So it's basically a certificate to say that you actually have completed 12 months of placement. This will make you really highly desirable when you're over there. Yeah, so Aisha, I can see, so can non-natives apply for this Korean internship? So Aisha, I think you're actually from India. Unfortunately, Indian passports, you can't get the work permit, so you wouldn't be able to apply for this internship, unfortunately. But email me and I'll see if we have maybe alternatives for you, okay, and we can get through that. If you still have the TEFL certificate, do you still need to pay the same price? No, you don't, and I'll be able to actually get you a discounted rate for all of our TEFL students that have the course already but are just waiting for a position to open. If you're after doing that and you're after getting qualified by us, send us an email after and we'll be able to send you a unique code so we can take that price off, so you don't actually have to pay for the whole thing. Yeah, that's perfect. So when does it start in 2022? So it is spring 2022. This is kind of dependent on your own preferences, of course, whether you want to go public or private school, because private, you have that little bit of leeway, and public school, it is a certain date. So it's March 1st. Is that right, Enzo?
Yeah, so arrival a little bit early for orientation, around about the middle to end of February, but your contract would start March 1st.
Lovely, perfect, thank you. Yeah, so just to finish off what's included in the program, Enzo will touch a little bit more on this since he runs the programs over there, but there is orientation when you arrive, and there's also continuous development weekends as well. So you do, throughout the 12 months, there are weekends there based in Seoul where you can, there's that little bit of continuous development, which is really nice. Yeah, so that is absolutely Grand. So that's kind of what's included in it. If you have any questions about what's included, you can write them in now, and I can go through a little bit. So can you start the internship during the BA degree course, or would you need to have a completed degree? So you actually do need the degree parchment in your hand for the work permit. Now, I know it's July, August now, and we're thinking about spring 2022. So if you could just let me know whether you're graduating this year and you're getting the parchment in your hand in September, because I know our graduations in Ireland are September, October, and that's when we get the parchment in our hand. So yeah, if you just let me know, because I think we might be able to sort that. You might actually go maybe a little bit later. We might not be able to get you in February, since it's really, really late. But you know, we can, you know, start the process and everything like that. You can start your TEFL cert. We'll get your application and get things together and just wait for that parchment. But yeah, no, if you're in third year or second year or something like that, it's not about being enrolled in the university. It's about having the bachelor's degree in your hand. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and oh, I did actually put in, before I give you over to Enzo, I did put in a question into the application form. It just asks whether you have the vaccine or not before you go. This is just down to organization, because we do need to know because of quarantine and stuff like that, just so we know when you come over, and we know when you have to submit your flights and everything like that. Okay, so it's not anything too crazy, just about our organization basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass you over to Enzo now to kind of finish up, and he'll go through a little bit about when you arrive and everything like that.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Becky. Yeah, so hi everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. As Becky mentioned, I'm here in South Korea. I'm part of the on-the-ground team, and I kind of run the logistics side. Me and my team, we run the logistics side of getting you guys over. So, you know, document support, chatting about programs in detail, answering questions, helping you through visas and through placement, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then also continued support kind of in country as well. That's kind of what we'll be responsible for and helping out with. I guess just a quick background about myself, just so you know a little bit more about me. So, you know, my name's Enzo, obviously from Cape Town in South Africa. I've actually been through this myself. So a couple of years ago, decided to do an online TESA course, traveled to South Korea, came over. I taught for 3 years in South Korea. So, you know, from that side of things, I've done teaching as well. I went home for a little bit, and then after about 6 months back at home, you know, I just kind of, I guess, had reverse culture shock, fell in love with Korea and couldn't wait to come back. And I've been back doing this now for about 2 years. So about 5 years experience in total from both sides as a teacher, and also as, you know, on the ground team, kind of helping people out. So, you know, whilst you're working through the process, while you're working through your documents, you know, we're going to be here to support you. Me and my team, my guys, we've all been teachers in South Korea as well. So, you know, any questions that you may have through the process, you know, we'll be able to help you out with that. So, I guess just a bit about me. So if we get into the process, you know that you're dealing with someone who's been through it before. Just a little bit about the process, and, you know, after you guys have signed up, kind of what to expect, you know, going forward, and how, you know, things move forward from there. So, you know, first of all, I guess the big thing on everybody's mind is kind of COVID. You know, I'm sure you're all thinking about that. Luckily, Korea's kind of remained open throughout the pandemic. There have been restrictions put in place, or extra kind of things you need to do, like PCR tests and that kind of thing. But essentially, it's remained open. You can still travel. You can still apply for your working visa. There's no vaccine requirements. There's just, you know, a PCR test prior to arrival. So we help you out with all that logistics of kind of getting over and going through the visa process and stuff too. But it's nice to know that kind of Korea's remained open throughout the pandemic. which is really great. You will need certain, like I said, certain things to kind of get you over, but we'll help you and support you through that. I guess just kind of a few things again to touch on COVID. First of all, the PCR test, as I mentioned. Second thing that we're recommending is for teachers to get some insurance before they come over. Obviously we'll guide you through this in more detail, once you've signed up and if you enroll with us. But some travel insurance just to make sure you're covered until the school insurance kicks in. Obviously traveling over, making sure that you've got cover. If anything happens, if there's any emergency, anything like that, you then at least know that you're covered. Another big question is just around quarantining. Quarantining, we've kind of got you covered there as well. So this depends on whether you go with public school or with private schools. Public schools at the moment, you have to go into the government quarantine. That's just the way that they run because they're enrolling, a huge number of teachers just to manage the logistics around that. They organize hotels. Depending on the region you go to in Korea, you go to the quarantine hotel. It is something you have to pay for yourself. The kind of, I guess, the benefit to outlays is pretty much spread out across the program. So, not too much to worry about that, but you do have to pay for it up front. With private schools, if you decide to go for private schools, with the majority of our schools, we have been able to arrange private quarantining, which means you can arrive, you get escorted is a strong word, but you get kind of directed to your apartment by health officials in Korea. You'll get on a special bus or a train or something that's dedicated for quarantining. You'll get taken to your apartment. We'll help you out with grocery shopping and kitting out the apartment. You'll be able then to quarantine in your own apartment or a temporary apartment that your school has arranged for you. And once that's done and finished and you've done your 2 weeks, you'll be able to kind of start living and start teaching and whatever else training after that as normal. So just so that when it comes to COVID, we got you covered. We've brought people throughout the last 18 months or so through this mess. We've got a lot of experience in helping teachers come over and get them over safely, without any kind of major issues or hassles. As I mentioned before, there's no vaccine requirement. For some schools, it's preferred just so that, they have peace of mind knowing that you have a vaccine. Now, you're not forced to take it, but if it's something that you're considering, it will just, it's not going to do any harm in terms of your application. It's one less thing to worry about. Korea here is busy rolling out for teachers at the moment. So they're actually signing up and getting teachers vaccinated right now. So, hopefully by next year when you guys are coming over, everything's full steam ahead. And if you don't have a vaccine and you want it, you should be able to get it fairly easily. It's free of charge in Korea. So you don't have to pay anything for it. As long as you signed up for your health insurance, you can register and you can get your vaccine. So that's kind of, I guess, overall about COVID. If you have any specific questions on that, you can shoot us a message in the chat box and we can maybe get to it at the end or, in a little bit. But that's just kind of around that. Just a few other kind of bits and pieces. So as Becky mentioned before, just around passports, your passport needs to be valid, at least for the duration of the contract or for your visa, which is 13 months. Now, the aim for the program is to start around February, March, but, sometimes there's delays or maybe documents take a little bit longer than expected. So, it'd be best just to have about 18 months, let's say, at least to mid or late 2023 on your visa, on your passport, just to be safe, just to have a bit of a buffer there. The more years you have in your passport, obviously, the better. It's always a bit of an issue trying to get it renewed from abroad. So that's just touching on that. As Becky mentioned before as well, you'll have your own kind of apartment. With couples, as she mentioned before, sometimes there's possibility to arrange couple positions. That's usually reserved for married couples, but we can always work on a case-by-case basis so we can see if you're an individual, or if you're coming over, with a friend or something like that, you'd get your own private apartment. Now, the apartments, they are Korean or Asian style apartments, so perhaps a little bit different to what we're used to in the West. They called one rooms or studio type apartments. It will be fitted with everything that you need. So, it comes furnished with, bed, air conditioning, kitchen. Most of them have a laundry machine, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of ready for you to move into. May not have more personal items in it, like bedding or crockery or cutlery, those kind of things, but essentially an apartment for you that will be ready for you to move into. Also, there's just one other consideration for those who have perhaps lived or worked abroad. In certain cases, you would need additional criminal background checks. So one requirement is you have to have a background check from your passport that you're using to apply with, so that country. But if you've lived and taught abroad, or you're a naturalized citizen, or whatever the case is, you may need an additional background check. We'll chat about that more in the enrollment period. So when you're signing up, obviously we can address those kind of questions. But just so you know, if you've lived abroad, there may be a need for something additional there, which we can obviously just kind of touch on and help you out with. A couple of highlights of the program, I guess, if we can just touch on those as well. So, when it comes to holidays and stuff like that, all schools in Korea are Monday to Friday. There's no weekend work. There's no public holiday work. Sometimes you'll have a special event on a Saturday or an outing, or you may have to make up some time for a closure or something like that. But as per standard, Monday to Friday. Starting kind of vacation time is about 8 to 10 days in your first year. And that can go up from your second year and onwards. It also varies public school to private school, but that's kind of the standard. So Monday to Friday, roughly 2 weeks of additional vacation per year. And then there are other longer holiday weekends in Korea, one in February, one in September. It usually falls around a 3 or 4 or a 5-day weekend. So there's kind of 4 almost full weeks of holiday through the year. Pretty good saving potential in Korea. So from your salary, which is about, sorry, Becky, I don't remember what the euro was, but 1,500 to 1,800 euro, I think, something like that.
Yeah, that's
I work in Korean won. But that mostly is all disposable income. You'll have some small deductions from your salary, like medical insurance, tax, pension, stuff like that. But that shouldn't be more than maybe 150 US dollars, maybe 200 maximum. So the majority of your salary is disposable income. The apartment is free as well, so you don't pay any deposit or any rental. So basically all you're really paying for is a couple of utilities, your gas, your water, electricity, internet, TV, medical insurance, stuff like that, and tax, and all that kind of stuff is pretty minimal. So good saving potential, 30, 40%, maybe more, just depends on personal spending habits. Your first couple of months, I wouldn't plan on saving too much. Obviously there's loads to do and see and explore and all that kind of stuff, but thereafter you have pretty good saving potential. We also offer you lifetime support in your placement. So the support doesn't end when you arrive in Korea. I'm here, I'm on the ground, you'll have my contact information. We're here to support you through the entire duration of your placement. So, if you stay on for a second year or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, if you've come through us, we will support you and we'll help you out. Visa queries, transferring queries, if you want to change schools, if you want to switch from public to private, we can help you out with all that kind of support as well. We also offer cultural orientation weekends through the year. So Becky did mention that before, but twice a year, once in spring and once in autumn. We invite everybody up to Seoul. We do some cool activities. We do some taekwondo lessons. We do a tour of the Grand Palace. We do tea tasting. We do stuff like that, just depending on what's available. That is COVID dependent. At the moment, going into the end of the year, it's looking unlikely just because there are bans on gatherings and stuff around COVID. But with the vaccine rates going up, we're hoping that by next year that'll be in the full swing of things again. So we'll have those meetups where you get to meet other teachers. You get to do some cool cultural activities, things like that. Very competitive package. So Korea is probably one of the highest earning packages that you get, just in terms of the benefits and the salary and everything put together. So it's a really great opportunity, especially for those who are looking at traveling, but also earning and potentially saving money. Free flight, free accommodation, as I mentioned before. So those are cool inclusions in the program. You work with an experienced team as well, touched on that already. So, us, all the in-country team, we've all done it before. We've all had this personal experience. So we can talk from personal experience as well, and kind of guide you through that. We have a Facebook page we invite all our teachers to. So, you'll be able to network and meet up people who have been here before. And then I guess, we can touch more on public schools and private schools and the differences and stuff like that, when you guys get signed up and if you guys want to ask about that. But, we work with private academies. So those are language centers that kids go to, outside of public schooling for extracurricular learning. So slightly smaller classes, maybe slightly different working hours, things like that, compared to public school, where that's just, where kids go for their normal, 8 to 4 schooling. larger class sizes, stuff like that. But we can touch on more on the details on those, if you guys sign up if you want. In terms of location, so us and the HQ here, we're located in Incheon, which is where the airport is. It's like 30 or 40 minutes west of Seoul, still in the Greater Seoul area. But placements, we do placements pretty much across the entire country. Now, obviously, the majority of placements is going to be in the Greater Seoul area. So Seoul, Gyeonggi-do, which is kind of the donut surrounding Seoul, and Incheon, they're all kind of interconnected in the Greater Seoul area. It's where most of the population lives. So, naturally, that's where most of the jobs are. Doesn't mean that's where you have to go. We do have placements across the entire country. And just, I guess, personal insight is just be open to not Seoul. Seoul is great, but Seoul's a big metropolitan city. It's easy. If you want a real Korean experience, it's always worth looking outside of Seoul. But I guess maybe that's just my biased opinion. My placement was outside of Seoul. So we do have the opportunity for kind of anywhere. Now, when it does come to placement, we do take preferences into account. But just given the majority of factors through the process, we can't always guarantee that we'd be able to match it 100%. So we'll chat to you in more detail about that. We can take location preferences and perhaps age group preferences into account. But there's loads of different kind of factors at play, so we can discuss that in kind of more detail too. Private and public schools, probably we see most of our teachers going for private schools, but public schools is also very popular. Public schools, lots kind of longer application process. It's run through the government, so you need to interview with them. We help you prep your applications and stuff like that to get ready for the program. Public schools can't always be guaranteed because the hiring is done by the government and by the government program. So we can do what we can to support you through that. If you're unsuccessful with public schools, we always have private schools as plan B. That's not the end of the road. It's not, you're out of the program. We have that as a second option. So private schools is always guaranteed 100%. Public schools is, if you're one of the chosen to get in, you can go for it. If not, we switch you over, but you can go for kind of either program that you want there. Yeah, so with the government quarantine, we kind of mentioned that before. Public schools, you do have to go into the government quarantine. You do have to pay for it. Here, the kind of cost offsets itself a little bit. Private schools, the industry standard is to give you one-way flight reimbursement. So they'll reimburse you for your flight to arrive to Korea. Public schools, the industry standard is to give you two-way flight reimbursement, but you have to pay for your quarantine. So, that the cost kind of evens out over the 12-month period anyway. Flights, about, let's just say €1,000. And the quarantine cost is about just over 1,000. I'm not sure what the latest round was, probably about 1,200, something like that. So it kind of evens itself out. And yeah, I guess that pretty much covers that side of things. In terms of the logistical support, again, that's what we do. So we'll talk you through all the document requirements, background checks, diplomas. You need to get certain documents legalized, which means they need to be apostilled or apostilled. Still don't know how to pronounce that word, but whatever it is, needs to have that done to it. We'll guide you. Each country is slightly different in the process, but we have guides for each country. We'll let you know what to do and how to get it done. And then once all your documents are done and ready, we can move on to placement. We can help you through the placement process. If you want a mock interview, if you want a call to chat about things, we're here and we're available, and we'll just kind of help you and guide you, from enrollment until you get on the flight back home, and you're done teaching if you get to that point. So yeah, I don't know if.
Sorry. And so you have two questions there before you go.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna get to. If there was any questions, I haven't looked at the chat.
That's fine. So Gary just asks there, are there any assurances in the event that there's another lockdown close to the travel date? So
yeah, luckily, as I touched on before, there hasn't been any lockdown, any kind of major lockdown. The only lockdown we saw, I guess not really a lockdown, but closed to travel, there was a stint where South Africans and UK citizens weren't allowed to travel. That's when the Delta variant, or whatever the name was, when it broke out a couple months back. That only lasted for a month or two, and then they resumed travel. They just had kind of stricter quarantine protocols. if that happens, we just kind of wait it out, I guess. And then as soon as we know that it's going to lift, we just carry on with the process. When it happened before, we had people who were in the placement process. For some of them, the schools were willing to wait. They just hung on there. When everything opened up, they resumed. For others, the schools couldn't wait. So the schools pulled back the contract. But then as soon as things lifted again, we just restarted placement again and carried on with the process. So, it's not like you dropped, you can't carry on. We don't, just stop things there. We assess the situation, and then as soon as things kind of reopen, we carry on. With the way the vaccines are going and Korea's plan to get herd immunity before the end of the year, and with vaccines from the other countries going, full steam ahead, I don't think that's going to happen again unless the wheels fall off completely somehow. So I don't know if that's going to be a major worry just yet.
Perfect, thank you. And Tony, they're asking if you're to stay a second year, would there be a chance of a higher wage?
Yes, absolutely. So, once you've been in Korea, once you have a year's experience, and if it goes well, obviously, then you are like, I don't know what the adjective would be, but you're proven. So you've been there, you've got a good reference, the schools know that you're kind of proven. And in that sense, usually you can negotiate for slightly higher vacation days from your second year onwards, and also for a little bit of a raise, and that usually goes up year by year. So yeah, that's definitely something that you can do and you can ask for. I see there's another question there. I have an Irish passport, but I'm living in America. So if that's the case, if you're an Irish citizen but you're living in the US, you would need an Irish background check, and you'd need a US background check because you're currently living in the US. So yeah, that's I guess that one. You'd have to apply from abroad too, which I'm not too familiar with the Irish process, but for other countries, you can just contact like the embassy or the consulate. They'll guide you on the best process on applying from abroad, and then they'll be able to kind of help you to apply whilst you're living in another country.
I'm sure you can actually get the Garda check online, Neof, anyway.
Okay.
Now, I know you can do it online, but whether you need to be in the country or it's posted to your Irish registered address maybe or something like that, maybe check in with your parents or something like that. Maybe they can have a look into it for you. Yes, so it is 2 background checks that you would need, because you would need to cover the whole time basically.
Yeah, especially if you're still living in a secondary country and you're going to be traveling to Korea from a secondary country that's not your home country. In that case, definitely you would need one. If you spent like a year teaching in China or whatever, and you've gone back to your home country, then we can assess it and see if there's a way around it for you. And in some cases there is, but if you're still living in that country, then it's almost unavoidable.
Perfect. And did you see just Neof's follow-up question to that?
Going to be returning to Ireland in September. So with background checks, they can't be older than 6 months when you're applying for your visa. And if you stick to your timeline, you'll probably be applying for your visa around about November, December, the latest January. So I think if you're planning on in September, then if you apply August, that should give you enough time on that for it to be valid by the time you get ready to apply for your visa.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Enzo. And you can keep on putting in your questions there, guys, if you have any more. I'm just going to go a little bit backwards now and just let you know how our process is and everything. So we are, as I said, opening up the applications today. They will be up. So the internship fee, this includes the TEFL course, say, is a 1,090 euros. It's a 1,390 US dollars. Just going to put in a discount there for joining us. So Korea, do 100 euros off the price, or $100 off the price. Okay. So, and if you are already TEFL qualified, just give me an email, and I'll have a look into it, because you might need maybe the Young Learners course, or you might have both or something like that. So just send me an email. I'm actually going to put in my email here too. So if you are interested in a call, guys, just let me know. So I'm going to put in my, that is my email there, recruitment@tefl.ie. Okay. And if you would like a chat with somebody from our team, just give me an email and I'll connect somebody with you, and we'll be able to get you kind of on the call today rather. You can also put in a callback request and everything like that. It might just be a little bit easier just to kind of email me directly, and I'll be able to get you someone straight away. So once you apply, we'll be in direct contact. We're going to get all your stuff together and everything like that, and me and Enzo will get you over to Korea in 2022. And as he said, there's absolutely no panic, especially in these days. So if something does, maybe there's a document that's delayed because of COVID or anything like that, and you need to go later, just let us know as soon as you can. And we'll be able to absolutely help you. But with COVID and everything like that, just I would apply as soon as possible. I know it seems like far away, but it's going to fly around the corner. And we need to get your applications in, get everything organized for you and everything like that, and get you set up. And the sooner you kind of apply, the more preferences are available, because everybody kind of gets placed. It's not, everybody doesn't get placed kind of together, a week beforehand or anything like that. So the sooner you apply, you'll be able to get your preferences and everything like that, if they are available. And everything will just be a lot more smoother, a lot nicer for you guys. There is limited positions as well. So, I mean, we can keep the applications open till the end of September, but we do think, it will close before that. Most definitely, once we actually get it all filled out. Yeah, so that I will also email you that code and everything like that from my email, so you have mine, and I'll be able to then kind of direct you to one of the girls if you have any kind of follow-up questions and need a with just like a one-on-one call or anything. Definitely we can do that for you guys today. So yeah, I think that is all from me, unless you have any other questions whatsoever. Let me just see here now in the chat. Yeah, one of my wonderful colleagues put in all the information there about the Garda clearance there for you, Niamh. And I'm sure you can do it online. Yeah, so that's perfect. Enzo, do you have anything else before we kind of wrap it up?
No, I think from my side we've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, well, I guess one thing just to kind of mention is that with public schools, applications for that, as I mentioned before, are kind of long. It's a long process, and they're kind of set to open on August 1st. So, for public schools, if that is where your interest lies, applying sooner the better is kind of best, just because of the way the process works. So if you've done a bit of research, or if you've looked into public school programs and stuff, and that's potentially what you're interested in, time is of the essence when it does come to public schools. Private schools, a bit more flexible on stuff when it comes to intakes and interviews and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I just kind of one consideration.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So do we need anything for the initial application, like letters of recommendation or anything? Yeah, so your initial application is actually going to be from us, where we're going to ask you for a few prerequisites, a couple of questions of why you want to go to Korea, any experience, all that. We kind of grab your emergency contact details, everything from the get-go. And you'll also have some uploads there. So what you'd need is a CV or resume. We'd also need a bachelor's degree scan. Now, I know somebody was asking about they're finishing university this year, so just email me, let me know your graduation date, and me and Enzo will talk about it, see what the best kind of solution for you is once we kind of know the exact date and everything like that. So you don't actually need a letter of recommendation for the initial application. So I know probably, some of you, obviously most of you are probably working at the moment and like that. So we're not going to ask you for current employers. And be ringing them up initially or anything like that until you actually know for certain. So don't worry about that. But there are a couple of other supporting documents that you need. You will need to upload your passport as well. If it goes out of date before the other date, don't worry about it. We just need to kind of see the passport and that you're able to renew it. But do get into the passport office as much as you can. Everything's really slow at the moment with the passports. It was a bit, a bit tight even with our Thailand internship back in May. It got very tight there in level 5 when the passport offices were closed. So just renew those passports. But it will ask you for one, but don't panic. We just kind of need to see you have a passport number and stuff like that. That's all just for the work permit. Yeah, so that one's that. And
I guess just another quick thing around timelines is that, I guess it's August or nearly August, which does seem like, spring next year is a long time away. But the entire process takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months, gathering documents, getting background check, getting it legalized, getting all that kind of stuff done and sorted, then going through the placement process, securing a position, applying for your visa, arriving a couple weeks early to finish quarantine if quarantine's still a thing. So, although it does seem like it's a long ways away, it does take long for Korea due to the requirements and the documents and stuff like that. So, it's a perfect time to get started now. You'll have plenty of time. You're not going to be kind of rushing or trying to, pressure someone for documents or, get things, done last minute. So that's, I guess that's just another thing to kind of keep in mind.
Absolutely, you'll just be waiting for the post. Just from Lauren as well there, do you have to apply today, and is the payment needed upon applying? What happens if you're unsuccessful? Okay, so you don't have to apply today. The absolute sooner the better, and once the positions are gone, the applications will close. And that's that basically. Once we're full, there'll be no more schools left. So it's very hard to say, really, to be quite honest. But as soon as possible is best. Payment is needed upon applying, just because basically Enzo and his team and everyone, there's school invitation letters and everything like that, and there's costs, and basically it's just to secure your position. So you will need to kind of upfront pay for it. But if you are unsuccessful for any reason, you'll be able to get a rejection refund. That's kind of dependent on whether you have the TEFL course or not. Because if you don't have the TEFL course, then you can, keep the TEFL course portion, and just kind of get the rest back, that sort of thing. But no, we don't reject your application and then keep all your money or anything like that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, and also, I guess just to touch on that as well, is
Yeah.
if you're accepted into the program and you meet all the requirements and we've had a chat with you and everything looks good, we do guarantee placement for you in the program, barring obviously extremely extenuating circumstances or something major happening. If all goes well and all goes to plan and you get your documents and everything like that, we do guarantee placement with the program. So we do kind of hold ourselves to that standard. We accept people who we know are going to be successful and who meet the requirements. And if you're enrolled, we will get you placed. Obviously, we can't guarantee that it would be with public school or private school or where you may be, but you would be guaranteed a placement.
Perfect. Yeah, very, very good successful rate they do. We have, so really, really good. Yeah, the Korean embassy's website is in Korean. Yes, there'll be loads of assistance for the documents and visas.
And they do have they do have an English version of the website as well. So if you just search Korean embassy in Dublin, I think the one in Ireland is in Dublin, or Korean embassy in New York or wherever it is that you're looking for, from the search results, if you just hit the top hit in English, it'll take you to an English version of the website. But also, we do offer support for that. All the documents that you need, what you need to get, we'll offer support from our side too. But if you're from an English-speaking country, they do offer the website in English, and if you give them a call or if you email them, they can respond to you in English as well.
Lovely, thank you, Enzo. And if you get your degree legalized, does it only qualify for a certain amount of time?
No, so your degree can be legalized. There's no expiration date on that apostle stamp that you get. The only document that's really kind of time sensitive is your background check. And that's that 6-month period from the date of issue until the date that you apply for your visa, which is normally a month or two before you actually fly over, just because the visa process takes about 6 weeks or so. So yeah, that's the only document that's time sensitive.
Perfect, thank you. And one more question here. Is it first come, first serve basis or application basis? Bit of both, I think. I'm not too sure what you mean by that, Lauren. Now, everybody that applies is basically when you apply with us and you put that money through, it's an internship. You're not going for a job, so you're not going to be up against 10 people for the same position. So we will save your position until you go through the application process. Now, not everything is 100% guaranteed, but once, as Enzo said, the success rate is amazing. Once you've kind of fit the criteria and you're onto one of our team, and we say, yeah, you're good to go, everything like that. It's pretty well done that way. So yeah, I would say kind of first come, first serve basis. You're not compared to, absolutely everybody or anything like that. But if you meant something in particular, Lauren, just kind of let me know, or we can have a chat later. But I'm sure that's what you mean. Yeah. So I think that's it. And oh, thanks, Emma, for putting in that link there for Gary. That's great. Yeah, so that is that. Thank you all, guys, for joining today. I hope we're all very, very excited for South Korea. I will email you, as I said, guys, after this, and I'll have my email in there and the code and everything like that. And just let me know your certain circumstance, and I'll be able to kind of get you in contact with one of the girls or myself, and we will get you through it. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.